My fiancée publicly humiliated me on TikTok, calling me the most disgusting guy she's ever been with before dumping me. So I disappeared without a word. Next morning, after ignoring 47 missed calls, I opened my door to find her sobbing on her knees. But I left her standing outside my apartment while I closed the door in her face. And what I did next changed everything. Before I tell you what happened when she showed up begging, and why I ultimately discovered this was all planned, comment where you're watching from. I want to see how far this reaches. My name is Alexander, I'm 30, and Victoria and I had been together almost 3 years. We got engaged 6 months ago. Met her when I was 27 at a community barbecue. She was the woman who knew how to jumpstart a car when mine died in the parking lot. First green flag, or so I thought. We exchanged numbers, started texting, and the rest just happened naturally over time. Past 3 years were mostly good overall. We had our comfortable rhythm. Netflix documentaries on Thursdays, dinner at her parents' house every other Sunday, camping trips with her friends during summer months. She always remembered my birthday and actually listened when I talked about my day at work. These days that's practically unicorn behavior in relationships. My last girlfriend before her thought emotional labor meant occasionally liking my social media posts, so admittedly my bar was set pretty low. Fast forward to this past Tuesday. I'm scrolling on my phone during lunch break when it dings with a text from my best friend Marcus. It's just a TikTok link with the words, "Call me now," typed in all caps. Marcus is not the dramatic type at all. He once texted, "Slight issue," when his apartment was literally flooding with water. I click the link and there's Victoria. She's at Riverside Bar, that dive bar her friends always hang at on Monday nights. I could tell by the neon Coors Light sign behind her that flickers every few seconds. We counted the pattern once while waiting for our drinks. She's clearly 6 beers deep at minimum. Red-faced, arms slung around her friend Alexis. Someone off camera asks, "So rate your fiancé, bro," and the look on her face changed completely. It wasn't her normal smile. It was this weird smirk I'd never seen before, like she was about to let everyone in on some private joke at my expense. Alex? Honestly, probably the most disgusting guy I've ever been with. Like a 4 on a good day. The bar erupts in laughter and shocked reactions. Someone yells, "That's savage." Victoria just laughs and keeps going without hesitation. But he pays half my rent and never complains when I go out with the girls, so I keep him around. Low maintenance, you know? Easy to manage. Then someone asks if she's worried I'll see the video. Her response made my stomach drop. Nah, he doesn't even really use TikTok much. Besides, I'm thinking about upgrading soon anyway. Too much emotional baggage with this one. The timestamp showed it was posted at 11:43 p.m. Monday night. While I was at home doing meal prep for the week and texting her goodnight like everything was normal. The video already had 177,000 views and 14,000 likes. I sat there in the break room just staring at my phone screen. Didn't cry, didn't scream, just felt this weird cold sensation spreading through my chest like ice water. 3 years together, engaged for 6 months, and this is what she actually thinks of me deep down. The night before she'd been at my place. We'd made dinner together, talked about potential wedding venues. She'd kissed me goodbye and said, "Love you babe," like it meant something real. And apparently 12 hours later I was the disgusting fiancé she was planning to dump and replace. I texted Marcus back immediately, "Coming over after work, don't tell anyone." Then I muted all notifications, put my phone in my bag, and somehow made it through 3 more client meetings without completely breaking down. Autopilot is strange that way. After work I didn't go home. Went straight to Target and bought a cheap duffel bag, filled it with essentials. Toothbrush, deodorant, phone charger, couple t-shirts, basic necessities. Spent $51.23. The receipt is still in my wallet for some reason. Drove to Marcus's apartment at 6:15 p.m. Sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes just staring at nothing, playing that video over and over in my head. I kept thinking about all the times Victoria told me I was handsome, that she was proud of me. When I dressed up for my company Christmas party. When I was sick with the flu last winter. 3 weeks ago at her friend's wedding when I was self-conscious about wearing a suit. All lies? Or just things you say when you're with someone out of obligation? Marcus didn't ask questions when I showed up at his door. Just pointed to his couch, handed me a beer, and said, "What's the plan, man?" That's when I made my decision. I'm not giving her the satisfaction of a big breakup conversation. No tears, no begging for explanations, no dramatic confrontation she can tell her girlfriends about later at brunch. I'm just going to disappear completely. We spent that night making a detailed checklist. Block Victoria on everything, phone, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Change all my passwords since she knew most of them. Call out from work for the rest of the week. Tell only my parents where I really am. By midnight Victoria had texted 7 times. Normal stuff at first. Hey babe, what do you want for dinner tomorrow, and you still coming over tonight? By morning it had shifted to, where are you, and why aren't you answering me? By afternoon she'd called 12 times straight. Not one single mention of the TikTok video. Not one apology. Nothing acknowledging what she'd done. I stayed at Marcus's place Wednesday and Thursday. We binged all of Breaking Bad, which was surprisingly therapeutic when your life is imploding. Cried in the shower so Marcus wouldn't hear me. Ordered way too much Uber Eats because neither of us felt like cooking anything. Friday morning Marcus went to my apartment to grab more of my clothes. He said Victoria had clearly been there recently. Empty Red Bull cans on the counter, her jacket thrown over my couch. She'd left a note taped to my door, call me. We need to talk. Still nothing about why we might need to talk. The TikTok mysteriously disappeared from her account Thursday night. Too late though. It had already been screen recorded and reposted, making rounds through our entire friend group. My phone was blowing up with, "Are you okay?" texts from people I haven't talked to in months. Weekend was a complete blur of ignoring calls from unknown numbers. Victoria was using her friends' phones to call me once she realized I'd blocked her number. Sunday night brought 26 missed calls total. Monday morning hit 32. I finally went back to work on Monday. My manager Sarah hugged me tight when I walked in. Apparently the video had made it to her feed too. She told me to take another day off if I needed it. I said no, I needed normal routine, needed to focus on something other than the dumpster fire that was my relationship. Victoria showed up at my office during my lunch break. I hid in the supply closet while my coworker James told her I wasn't there. I heard her voice, that familiar tone I used to love, coming through the door. She sounded tired, worn out. Good. By Tuesday morning, exactly 1 week since I'd seen that video, the missed call count was at 47. Her latest text just said, please, with nothing else. I needed to swing by my apartment to get my mail. Had a package that needed my signature. Figured 8 a.m. was safe since Victoria usually leaves for her hot yoga class at 7:30 sharp. I was completely wrong about that assumption. I unlocked my door and there she was, sitting on my welcome mat. The one that says, come back with tacos, that she'd given me as a joke gift. She looked up when she heard my keys. The woman was an absolute wreck. Hadn't done her hair or makeup, dark circles under her eyes like she hadn't slept in days, wearing the same Northwestern hoodie she'd had on in her Instagram story from 2 days ago. When she saw me standing there she literally crumpled to the ground. Not in a fake dramatic way, like her body physically gave out on her. Dropped to her knees, tears immediately streaming down her face, saying my name over and over desperately. I just stood there with my keys still in hand, feeling absolutely nothing, then everything all at once, then nothing again. Alex, please, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I said those horrible things. I was drunk, the girls were pressuring me to be funny. I never meant any of it. Please just talk to me for 5 minutes. I cut her off mid-sentence. I saw what you really think of me, Victoria. There's nothing to talk about. I stepped around her like she was a piece of furniture blocking my path. Got my mail, walked back to my car without looking back once. She followed me all the way to the parking lot, still crying, still begging desperately. I got in my car, locked all the doors, and drove straight back to Marcus's place. She called 5 more times before I even made it across town to his apartment. So that brings us to now. It's been exactly 8 days, 4 hours, and 22 minutes since I saw that video. Since I realized the person I trusted most in this world sees me as a convenient placeholder until something better comes along. I don't know what happens next in my life. Part of me, a small stupid part, misses her desperately. Misses the routine we built. Misses believing I was actually loved. First update, y'all remember me? The guy whose fiancée called him disgusting on TikTok then acted shocked when he disappeared? That's still me unfortunately. First, thank you for all the support. It's been exactly 17 days since I saw that video and 9 days since Victoria showed up crying on my doorstep. Let me tell you, things have gotten increasingly weird. After I left Victoria in that parking lot Tuesday morning at 8:43 a.m. according to my car's timestamp, I drove straight back to Marcus's place in complete zombie mode. The whole drive my phone kept lighting up with calls. Victoria had apparently moved on to using her mother's phone to reach me, which is a special kind of desperate manipulation when you think about it. When I got back to Marcus's apartment I just sat in his kitchen staring at the faded, Live Laugh Love magnet on his fridge, unable to process anything. Marcus came home from his shift around 2 p.m. and found me in the exact same position, still wearing my coat. He just sighed, handed me a beer, and said something that actually made me start thinking differently. He asked if I'd been noticing red flags with Victoria all along but had just been filtering them out subconsciously. At first I got defensive. Victoria and I had a good relationship overall. She remembered my birthday, she watched sports with me even though she hated them, she never complained when my beard trimmings got all over the bathroom sink. The bar is literally underground these days and I thought she was clearing it with room to spare. But then Marcus started asking really specific pointed questions that made me uncomfortable. Did Victoria ever make jokes about my appearance before the TikTok? Well yeah, there was that time she said my favorite jeans made me look kind of frumpy but in a cute way. And when I grew my beard out last summer she asked if I was trying to look homeless. And she did have this weird habit of constantly pointing out male celebrities she found attractive, always the super fit, chiseled jaw types who look nothing like me. Did Victoria support my career goals and ambitions? I mean, she said she was proud when I got that promotion last year, but she also suggested maybe I shouldn't take it because the stress and extra hours might be too much for me to handle. When I talked about maybe going back to school someday for my MBA, she always changed the subject to how expensive it would be and how we needed to save for the wedding instead. Did Victoria have equal standards for our relationship? Thinking about it honestly, not really at all. If I was 15 minutes late meeting her anywhere I'd get a series of increasingly annoyed texts asking where I was. But she could cancel our plans last minute to hang with her girlfriends and I was supposed to be completely cool and understanding about it. By the time we'd finished our beers, I had this sinking feeling in my stomach. The TikTok wasn't some bizarre out-of-character moment. It was just the first time I'd seen clearly what had been there all along. That night Victoria escalated to a concerning new level. At exactly 9:17 p.m., Marcus's doorbell rang. We both froze like we'd been caught doing something illegal. Through the peephole I could see Victoria holding the saddest-looking grocery store flowers I've ever seen in my life. Marcus went full protective mode. He opened the door just enough to block the view inside and told her firmly I wasn't there. I could hear her voice cracking as she begged him to just let her talk to me for 5 minutes. Said she hadn't slept properly in days, said she'd lost weight, said she'd do absolutely anything to fix this mess. After Marcus finally got her to leave, we found a handwritten letter she'd slipped under the door. 8 pages, front and back. I have to admit I read it twice. It was a lot. Tear stains smudged across the paper, promises to spend the rest of her life making this up to me, explanations about how she was drunk, how her friends were peer pressuring her to be entertaining, how she'd been having a terrible day at work. Classic deflection and excuse making. But one line actually got to me. I said those horrible things because I'm insecure and afraid you'll realize you're too good for me. For about 20 minutes I actually considered calling her back. That's how messed up my brain was. Like she publicly humiliated me and somehow I was feeling bad for her emotional state. Thankfully Marcus's Wi-Fi chose that exact moment to crash, classic Thursday night service outage, so we couldn't even stream anything to distract ourselves. Instead we ended up going through old photos on my phone and that's when I had my first real revelation. In literally every picture of Victoria and me together from the past year, I'm looking at her with this big genuine smile and she's either looking at her phone, looking off to the side, or making some weird face. Not a single photo where she's looking at me the way I'm looking at her. How did I never notice that pattern before? Friday morning brought a new uncomfortable development. My brother Miguel called to tell me that Victoria had shown up at his apartment at 7 a.m. asking if he knew where I was staying. Miguel, being the overprotective older brother he is, told Victoria that if she came by his place again they'd be having a very different kind of conversation. Dramatic maybe, but I genuinely appreciate the loyalty and support. By that point I was actually starting to feel suffocated by all of Victoria's desperate attempts to contact me. It wasn't romantic or touching, it was uncomfortable and honestly kind of scary. So I did something I'd been avoiding. I drafted a text message, simple and direct with no room for misinterpretation. I need space. Please stop contacting me, my friends, and my family. I'll reach out when and if I'm ready to talk. Sent it at 10:22 a.m., immediately turned my phone completely off for 3 hours because I couldn't handle seeing her response. When I finally checked again, there were 5 long paragraphs waiting for me. The basic gist: she understood completely, she'd respect my boundaries, she'd wait forever if that's what it took. Followed immediately by 3 more texts asking when forever might realistically end and if we could please just meet for coffee next week. So much for respecting boundaries. The weekend was actually surprisingly peaceful. Marcus's roommate was out of town visiting family so we had the place to ourselves. We ordered in food, did absolutely nothing productive, and I went a full 24 hours without obsessively checking my phone. It felt like coming up for air after being held underwater for weeks. Sunday night though, things took another turn I wasn't expecting. I was mindlessly scrolling through Instagram before bed, bad habit I know, when I saw it. Victoria had posted a video. Not just any video, a public apology specifically to me. She'd tagged me in it and everything. For minutes and 27 seconds of her sitting in her car looking directly at the camera with red-rimmed eyes. She talked about how sorry she was, how much she regrets hurting the most amazing person inside and out that she's ever known, how she's learning to be a better person. The comments were predictably a mess. Some people praising her for taking accountability, others rightfully calling her out for making my humiliation about her again. Her friend Alexis commented, "Stay strong girl," like Victoria was somehow the victim here. I couldn't sleep after watching that. Kept thinking about how even her apology was public, carefully filmed, probably with multiple takes, posted at optimal engagement time of 8 p.m. on Sunday. Monday morning I decided I needed to go back to my own apartment. Marcus had been absolutely amazing, but I couldn't hide at his place forever. Plus his hot water heater had been acting up all weekend and cold showers in February are definitely not the vibe. As I was packing up my stuff, my phone pinged with a notification. Victoria had sent me $500 on Venmo with the note, "For the honeymoon we'll never take. Our wedding would have been in 4 months." I sent the money back immediately, then blocked her on Venmo too. The drive back to my apartment felt surreal, like going somewhere both familiar and completely foreign at the same time. When I got there, my apartment smelled stale and slightly like the Chinese takeout I'd forgotten in the fridge. My plants were all dead, RIP to my supposedly indestructible snake plant. And then I saw them everywhere. Post-it notes covering nearly every surface. On my bathroom mirror, "I miss your smile." On my fridge, "Remember our first date here?" On my TV, "Our Netflix queue misses you." On my nightstand, "I can't sleep without you." I stood there realizing what had happened. Victoria still had my spare key. She'd been in my apartment while I was gone, leaving these notes like some kind of romantic gesture. My skin instantly crawled. I checked everywhere, closets, under the bed, behind shower curtain, half convinced she might be hiding somewhere. She wasn't, but the violation of my personal space felt just as disturbing. I called my landlord immediately, explained the situation. He agreed to change my locks first thing next morning. Then I went through my apartment systematically removing every single post-it note, ripping them into tiny pieces. Petty maybe, but extremely satisfying. That night was my first one back in my own bed. I kept waking up throughout the night, my brain not quite caught up to reality. Tuesday yesterday, someone knocked on my door. My heart stopped before I remembered Victoria's old key wouldn't work anymore with the new locks. It wasn't Victoria though. It was Alexis, her best friend who'd been in that TikTok video laughing along. Alexis, who I'd been friends with even before I met Victoria. She looked uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot. Started with awkward small talk about the weather before finally getting to her real point. Victoria was apparently in a really bad place mentally and just wanted 5 minutes to explain herself properly. I asked Alexis if she remembered laughing in that video. She had the decency to look genuinely ashamed, said she was drunk and just going along with the group dynamic. Then she hit me with this, "She didn't mean any of it, Alex. You know how girls talk when they're together with their friends." I looked at her directly and said, "I don't want to be with someone who talks like that about me with her friends, drunk or sober. I don't want to spend my life wondering what she says about me when I'm not in the room." I thanked Alexis for coming by, told her I genuinely hoped Victoria would feel better eventually, and closed the door. Last night I went through my phone and unfollowed Victoria on every single platform we were still connected on. Took down all the photos of us from my apartment walls. Packed up the Northwestern sweatshirt she always left at my place and her extra phone charger, put them in a box in my closet. Not ready to return them yet, but didn't want to see them either. Then I ordered myself dinner from that Thai place Victoria always complained was too spicy but that I secretly loved. Ate it while watching The Last of Us, which Victoria refused to watch because she doesn't like post-apocalyptic shows. Used that expensive bath bomb my mom got me for Christmas that I'd been saving. Around midnight my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "It's Victoria. Please don't block this number. I just need to know one thing. Did those 3 years mean anything to you? Because they were everything to me." I stared at those words for a long time. 3 years of inside jokes, holiday dinners, lazy Sunday mornings. 3 years of building what I thought was a future together. And also 3 years of small criticisms disguised as jokes, 3 years of walking on eggshells around her moods, 3 years of making myself smaller. I didn't reply. Just added the number to my blocked contacts and turned off my phone. This morning I woke up and did something I haven't done in weeks. I made an actual plan for myself, not a reaction to Victoria, just a normal productive day. But as I was heading out, I saw something that stopped me. Victoria's Instagram profile picture had changed to a photo of us from last summer. My arm around her, both of us smiling. It shouldn't affect me at all, but somehow it did. Second update, I wasn't planning on updating so soon, but the past week has been absolutely insane. It's been exactly 32 days since that video, 1 full month of rebuilding. The weirdest thing happened Saturday. I was at Target, my emotional support store, picking up new sheets because I finally decided to get rid of the ones Victoria always said brought out my eyes. I was debating between navy and charcoal when I noticed a woman staring at me from the end of the aisle. At first I thought maybe I had something on my face. But then she walked directly over looking super uncomfortable. She asked if I was the guy from Victoria's TikTok. My stomach dropped. It's one thing being humiliated online, another being recognized by strangers at Target while wearing yesterday's shirt. Before I could respond, she launched into this awkward apology about how she'd been one of the people who commented something mean but felt terrible after seeing Victoria's public apology video. I just stood there clutching my charcoal sheets while this stranger had her character development moment. When she finally stopped talking, I managed, "Thanks, it's fine," and speedwalked to checkout. Sat in my car afterward with AC blasting even though it was only 60 degrees, realizing I'm not just Alex anymore to some people. I'm the guy from the TikTok. My humiliation has become my identifier. That realization made me angry in a way I hadn't felt before. Not sad angry like I'd been for weeks. Pure, energizing, productive anger. Sunday morning I woke up at 6 a.m., couldn't sleep, and made a list. Join that boxing gym Marcus keeps mentioning. Finally apply for that MBA program I've been putting off. Redecorate my bedroom, no more compromise decorating. Start meal prepping seriously again. By 11 a.m. I'd already tackled the first item, signed up for a boxing class. Monday I applied for the MBA program. Took 40 minutes to fill out the application, another 20 to write the personal statement, about 3 seconds to hit submit before I could overthink it. Had a mini panic attack immediately after. Called my mom who talked me down, half encouragement, half, "I don't understand why you're complicating your life but I support you anyway." Wednesday was when everything escalated dramatically. I was at the grocery store when my phone started blowing up. Marcus texting, "Call me now. Victoria is on Instagram Live. She's talking about you. It's bad." I abandoned my cart, sorry to underpaid grocery workers, and ran to my car to watch. Sure enough, there was Victoria, clearly drunk at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, red-faced and slurring, talking directly to camera about how she'd lost the love of her life. The comments were rolling fast, mostly people telling her to get help or turn off the live. Then she said something that made my blood freeze. "I know he's watching this. Alex, I'm coming over tonight. We need to talk this out face to face. I'm not taking no for an answer anymore." I immediately called Marcus in full panic mode. He offered to come stay but I ended up calling Miguel instead. He's closer and frankly more intimidating if Victoria actually showed up. Miguel arrived at 5:30 with his girlfriend and enough overnight stuff for a week. Told me not to argue, they were staying until, "This woman gets the message." By 8 p.m. I'd almost convinced myself Victoria's threat was just drunk talk. By 9 p.m. I was starting to relax. By 9:47 p.m. exactly, my doorbell rang. Miguel answered while I stood back. I could hear Victoria's voice, slurred and emotional, demanding to see me. Miguel's responses were low and calm. After about 5 minutes my door closed. Miguel came back looking annoyed but calm. Said Victoria had finally left after he convinced her this really wasn't a good time. Also mentioned she looked rough and smelled like she'd bathed in vodka. I slept terribly, jumping at every sound. Thursday morning I woke to a text from an unknown number. "This is Victoria's mom. I'm worried about her. She won't eat, barely sleeps, lost her job yesterday for showing up drunk. I know you don't owe her anything but please call me." Talk about emotional manipulation. She'd always done this, treated Victoria like she couldn't handle consequences, swooping in to fix everything. I showed the text to Miguel who advised ignoring it. But something bothered me all day. Around 3 p.m. I texted back, "I'm sorry Victoria is struggling but I'm not responsible for her choices or her healing. Please encourage her to get professional help." She responded immediately, "She made a mistake. Everyone deserves forgiveness." I didn't reply. Some mistakes change how you see a person forever. That evening something unexpected happened. I was scrolling TikTok when I saw a video from someone I didn't follow. Caption made my heart stop, "When your friend humiliates her fiancé on TikTok and you finally call her out." It was Rachel, one of Victoria's longtime friends, the one literally in the original video. In the video Rachel explained how she'd been complicit in Victoria's toxic behavior for years, not just with me but with previous boyfriends too. How their friend group had a pattern of encouraging Victoria's worst impulses. How the TikTok incident had been a wake-up call for her personally. She ended with, "Alex, if you see this, I'm sorry. We all failed you. And Victoria, get help. This isn't about winning him back anymore. This is about becoming someone who would never hurt anyone like this in the first place." I watched it 7 times. Sent it to Marcus, who responded with "holy shit" and nothing else for 10 minutes. Then Rachel DM'd me on Instagram. "Hey, hope that didn't make things worse. Just couldn't stay silent anymore. No pressure to respond." I sat with that for a while. Finally wrote back, "Thanks for speaking up, better late than never." We ended up having a surprisingly honest conversation. She told me Victoria had been spiraling hard since I left. Rachel also confirmed something I'd suspected. This wasn't the first time Victoria had spoken about me that way, just the first time it was recorded. That hit different, knowing it wasn't a one-time drunk mistake but a pattern. Friday, exactly 1 month since I walked away, I decided to celebrate by tackling the final item on my list. I downloaded a dating app. Not because I'm ready to date, but because I wanted to remind myself Victoria isn't the only option in the universe. Setting up my profile felt vulnerable. Choosing photos where I actually liked how I looked, writing a bio that was authentically me. I'd just finished when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost declined, but something made me answer. It wasn't Victoria. It was Alexis, sounding weird, nervous, talking too fast. Said she needed to tell me something important about the original TikTok, something that might change everything. I almost hung up, but then Alexis said, "The TikTok wasn't spontaneous, Alex. Victoria planned it and I can prove it." I'm meeting Alexis today at 2 p.m. at Starbucks. Miguel insisted on coming, sitting at a nearby table. I have no idea what she wants to tell me. My stomach's in knots. Thanks for all the supportive comments. To answer common questions, no, I haven't unblocked Victoria and don't plan to. Yes, I'm bringing pepper spray, thanks for concern. And no, I absolutely don't want Victoria back. I just want to understand what actually happened. We'll update after. Final update, I've rewritten this 4 times because I still can't believe everything that happened. Thank you to everyone who sent supportive messages after my cliffhanger. Sorry for leaving you hanging, but I genuinely needed time to process what Alexis showed me. Saturday at 2:03 p.m. I walked into Starbucks with my stomach in knots. Spotted Alexis in the corner booth nervously shredding a napkin. Miguel took position at a table near the door wearing sunglasses indoors, very subtle. Alexis looked rough. Dark circles, hair unwashed, wearing the same shirt I'd seen her in multiple times on social media recently. First 5 minutes were painfully awkward. She apologized about 17 different ways for her part in the TikTok situation. I just sipped my coffee and waited. Finally she pulled out her phone. "Before I show you this, you need to know I didn't find it until yesterday. I was going through old group chats trying to find a restaurant name and I saw this thread Victoria started." She slid her phone across. WhatsApp group chat titled Girls Night Warriors. Victoria, Alexis, Rachel and 2 others. The messages were from 5 weeks before the TikTok. Victoria, need advice girls. Rachel, what's up? Victoria, trying to figure out how to break up with Alex. I felt my face getting hot as I scrolled. Victoria went on explaining she'd been talking to her words, this guy named Jason from my gym, for almost 3 months. But she was worried about how I'd react since we shared friends and he can get emotional. As I kept reading it got worse. Victoria was literally asking friends for advice on how to make me break up with her so she could look like the good guy. Their suggestions ranged from gradually becoming distant to picking fights to, and this is what made me nearly drop the phone, just embarrass him on social media so he dumps you. The last message was from Victoria, TikTok might work. He barely checks it anyway. I looked up at Alexis who couldn't meet my eyes. Why show me this now? She explained after our last conversation she'd been feeling guilty. Said she'd assumed the TikTok was just drunk stupidity, not calculated. Didn't know about Jason until I found these messages. Victoria's been lying to everyone, telling us how heartbroken she is. Meanwhile she's still seeing Jason. I saw them together at the gym yesterday. It was the final puzzle piece. The TikTok wasn't a drunken mistake. It was deliberate, a plan that backfired when I disappeared instead of confronting her. I sat processing that not only had Victoria intentionally humiliated me, she'd done it to escape our relationship for someone else. And now she was playing devastated fiancé to save face. I thanked Alexis, then walked out with Miguel asking questions I wasn't ready to answer. That night I made a decision. After 37 days of silence I was going to talk to Victoria, not to reconcile but to let her know I knew everything. Sunday morning at 10 a.m. I texted Victoria from my real number, "We need to talk. Today, 2 p.m., Java Hut on Main. Don't be late." She responded within seconds, "I'll be there. Thank you Alex. I love you." Spoiler, she does not love me. I spent the next hours alternating between certainty and panic. Practiced what I wanted to say. Called Marcus twice. Arrived 20 minutes early to secure the corner table. Victoria walked in at 1:58 p.m. wearing the blue dress I'd bought her. She looked better than expected. She reached for a hug which I avoided by gesturing to the chair. Her face fell. She launched into rehearsed speech about how sorry she was, how the past month had been torture. I let her talk for exactly 2 minutes, then placed my phone between us, open to screenshots Alexis sent me. So who's Jason? Her face went pale. Those are, Alexis shouldn't have. Just tell me the truth, Victoria. For once. The next 20 minutes were illuminating. Once caught, the apologies stopped. Jason was just a friend at first. She'd been confused about our relationship. 3 years was too long to be with one person in your 20s. The TikTok was stupid, but she never thought I'd see it. I panicked when you disappeared, she admitted. I realized I'd made a huge mistake. Jason wasn't worth losing you over. That's when it clicked. She wasn't devastated about hurting me. She was devastated about losing control, about everyone knowing what she'd done. I took a sip of cold coffee and said words I'd been practicing. I'm not here to get back together. I'm here to tell you I know everything and I'm done. Don't contact me again. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm now 99% sure were fake. But I love you. We can fix this. If you loved me, you wouldn't have spent 3 months planning how to humiliate me so you could be with someone else. I stood gathering my things. That's when she played her final card. I broke my lease. I've been staying with my mom. I thought we'd be moving in together like we planned. For a brief moment I felt guilty. Then I remembered the cold calculation of those messages. You should call Jason. I'm sure he has space. And I walked out. She texted 17 times in the next 2 hours, switching from apologetic to angry to desperate. I didn't reply, just took screenshots. Around noon I got a text from unknown number. Not Victoria. It was Jason, the gym guy. Hi Alex, you don't know me but I think we need to talk. Victoria's been telling me one story and apparently telling you another. We met that afternoon. Turns out Jason had no idea Victoria was engaged until 2 weeks ago when he saw her public apology TikTok. She'd told him she was single, dealing with a crazy ex who couldn't let go. The similarities were stunning. By end of our conversation we were following each other on Instagram and had plans to check out a new sports bar. Trust issues, solidarity. That night I did something I'd been putting off. I temporarily unblocked Victoria on Instagram, went to her profile. Her story from 3 hours earlier was a black screen with sad song lyrics and text, sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone. Meanwhile Jason had sent me screenshots of her texting him that same day asking to hang out. I'd never felt more certain of a decision. Yesterday marked exactly 40 days since the TikTok. 6 weeks of pain, anger, confusion, and finally clarity. I officially blocked Victoria everywhere, changed my number this morning, told my landlord never allow her in the building. Then I did something just for me. That MBA program I applied for? I got accepted. Classes start next month. Last night Marcus and Miguel came over for an impromptu goodbye Victoria party. We ordered pizza, drank beer, took turns reading her desperate texts. Toxic maybe but cathartic. Miguel asked if I was sad about wasting 3 years. The thing is, I'm not. Those years taught me about red flags I'll never ignore again, about my own resilience, about the relationship I actually deserve. This morning I woke to notification Victoria had tagged me in a new post. My finger hovered over view button for 3 seconds before realizing I don't care. Her words have no power anymore. Instead I deleted the notification, made coffee, sat on my balcony watching sunrise. So that's officially the end. People ask if I'm worried Victoria will see this. Part of me hopes she does. Let her see how thoroughly she failed at controlling this narrative. Let her see her disgusting ex is thriving without her. And to anyone dealing with their own Victoria, you deserve better. Better exists. Trust me. Thank you for listening to my story all the way through. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and share with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment where you're watching from. Let's build a community of people who know that respect isn't optional in relationships. Your engagement helps stories like this reach people who desperately need them. Thanks again.